The grief over death has no bounds. It happens to everyone. From the time we are children until our own death, we go through many periods of grieving. Whether it be grief over the loss of a human or of a pet, we all go through this process of grieving. The grieving process also occurs when a family pet dies. Most people can deal with the grief over a death. For some, though, it is a really challenging time, which can sometimes be extremely difficult to get over. I know because I was one of those who really struggled. My story. In October of 2014, just a few weeks after her 20th birthday, I had to put down my best companion. Since she was 6 weeks old, she had been with me, but I met her before she became mine, because I delivered her at birth. Ever since I could remember, I had never been alone. Since the age of 4 or 5, I've always had a pet. Now I was alone. I felt really empty inside. At first I went through the emotions of grieving. Sadness and depression was my new reality. Emptiness and loneliness soon followed. Then anger. All the time I was becoming more depressed. Grief. Every time I saw someone walking their dog, I became angrier. How dare they have a pet when I had just lost mine? The more I thought these thoughts, the more I realized that I needed help. But where do you turn when most support groups are geared towards the grieving process of losing a human companion? Then one day I came across a book by Robin Jean Brown, a book that dealt with the grief over the loss of a family pet. So I got it, and I am really grateful that I did. Roaring through pet loss. How to roar. Recovering from the grief of pet loss really hit home to me when I read her story. She went through all of the same emotions that I did. All the same loneliness, the anger, everything. And she said it was okay, a perfectly natural process. Robin's book was way different than any other I'd seen on the grieving process and how to deal with it. He book got you involved. It made you develop a journal about your recently departed pet. It was an exercise of memories. Right from the very beginning, she involves you in remembering your late pet. She gets you involved in healing yourself, and that's the best way to deal with grief. The book How to Roar. Recovering from the grief of pet loss is divided into chapters that deal with a specific aspect of the grieving process. Each chapter in turn contains a number of simple journal exercises that help you to deal with the specific points within that aspect of grieving. By following the journal activities in the book, you begin to look at your late pet with admiration. You begin to see all that that pet has given you and what you have given in return. You begin living again. And that's what happened to me. If it wasn't for Robin's book, one would still be depressed and angry. Now when I think of Midnight, that was her name, I smile remembering all the great and not so great times we had together. Because of this, I am thankful that somebody had the good sense to make a product that was actually geared towards the pet owner. Conclusion. Robin's book How to Roar. Recovering from the grief of pet loss is a must-have for those who have lost a pet. The concept of journalizing about your late pet is something that I hadn't seen before. It's a tool that actually works. Everyone has to heal in their own way and time. But that doesn't mean that you can't use a little help along the way. Robin shows you how to help yourself and regain your life. This book is a must-have and an absolute read. For me, it has helped me see my late companion in a very new and endearing light. It has also shown me that my life is really empty without the companionship of a pet. It helped me meet my new companion, an Australian shepherd named Benjamin Franklin. I am still writing in the journal. Maybe one day I'll turn it into a book. In the meantime, all I can say is thanks to Robin. Thanks for talking about grief in terms of pet loss.